Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sybil Amuti, and today I guess I am being partnered with the crickets outside my office today that don't want me to be great. So pardon any little cricket sounds that you might hear today. But happy Wednesday, great girlfriends. I'm so super excited to be here with you. I see y'all out there flossing on the gram, hashtag the great girlfriends. I see you posting in our Facebook group, the great girlfriends, and shout out to every single person that's ever left us a review. I have just read one that I'd love to share with you from summer, but before I share it, can I beg you guys to go on iTunes and write us reviews? Pretty, please. We need more reviews. The show is doing so well. It's reaching women around the world, over 100 countries being reached, and we have amazing download numbers, but our reviews are short. So I'm asking you to go on iTunes, leave us 5 stars, pressure, no pressure, and leave a comment, just a brief review, maybe of one episode that you really liked, that you think someone else could really benefit from. So this review says, amazing podcast with 5 stars by V. Lynn. And it says, this podcast gave me life on so many levels. When she spoke about the Zulu term, sawubona, and its meaning, that really hit home for me. So I'm not going to tell you which episode she's speaking of, but I am going to tell you it was a good one. And I want to thank you, V. Lynn, for leaving that review. Now, I'm asking all of you to jump over to iTunes and leave a review as well. So guess what? This week, I'm back with Lucinda Cross. Yeah, baby. Super excited because we got so many great emails about Lucinda's episode with us last week where she talked about The Big Ask, which is a book that she wrote and also a conference that she's hosting September 20th in New York City. So you're all invited to grab your tickets at lucindacross.com. But this week we're diving into suicide prevention. As we all know that September is Suicide Prevention Month. And so we in the Great Girlfriend community want to do everything that we can to generate hope for the next great girlfriend. So I'm asking you to grab your pen and paper. And I'm also asking you to listen intensely to this episode and share it with any woman, girl, friend, brother, I don't care, that you know that may be in need of a little bit of encouragement today. All right, so I want to welcome you to this week's episode, and I look forward to sharing conversation about it in the Facebook group.
Hey, great girlfriends, we are back with another fantastic episode with my guest hostess with the mostest, Lucinda Cross. Hey, Lucinda.
Hey, how are you?
Hey. I'm so great. Now that I got you on the hotline, and she's hanging out with me, great girlfriend. So just so you know, I threw this on her, just so we're very clear. Lucinda can catch, because I pitched to her hey, Lucinda, you want to just do 2 episodes? Not just one, because you're amazing. Let's do 2. And she was like, of course. So just know she's here for you. She is here for you. She's here for me. She's here for us. And I'm so excited. What's going on over there, Lucinda? How you feeling? How you breathing? You ready?
I'm ready.
Coming up.
Conference is coming up, but I know we have such an important topic and thing, something that we just really need to address with our people. So I'm just, it's excitement about the conference, but just more concern and wanting to reach out to people today. So I'm just grateful that you decided to have me on this segment.
I did. And honestly, I'm so glad that you took out the time because, great girlfriends, for those of you that don't know, and maybe many of you do know, September is Suicide Prevention Month. And this is a very critical, sensitive topic. So I'm going to ask that you do take out intimate time to listen to this episode. I'm going to share my own story of overcoming depression and some of the ways that my life was resurrected. It was resurrected by the grace of God, but also through the relationships that I have. And just to be clear, we're bringing this to the Great Girlfriends because there are listeners right now who could possibly be on the brink, right? Who possibly be in a place where they're making a choice about life or death. And the reason I know that is true is because the numbers are so alarming, Lucinda. In the U.S., and according to the CDC, suicide numbers are very high, and mental health and mental health issues are on a rise, especially in the entrepreneur community. So this episode is dedicated to life, to saving life,
Yes.
to being a vessel for life, to
Yes.
restoring hope, and to rejuvenating some of the beautiful souls that are listening, that are in your personal life, that you touch every day, that you see and experience, but you may be missing some of the warning signs. So let me just go here really quickly so you understand what the risk of suicide looks like in the U.S. First of all, crazy don't look crazy anymore, all right? And let me just say that out loud. You know, back in the day, because we grew up thinking that, chaotic thoughts had a look and a feel.
Yes.
And that, people were in the streets, they were homeless, they were itching, they had bulging eyes, right, Lucinda? These were some of the things, with the crazy uncle, the crazy aunt even. People had the idea, and I say crazy because people use that word so loosely to think that you must be crazy to want to commit suicide, but it's chaotic thoughts. It's the chaotic thoughts that we all experience from time to time. And for some people, those thoughts become overwhelming. So to be very clear, it doesn't look like what you think or what you've seen in movies. It doesn't look like what you might see in an area in your town where there's a lot of homelessness or a lot of poverty and things like that. That's not what it looks like. It's your everyday mom. It's your sister. It's your friend, right, Lucinda?
Yes.
It's your husband.
It's the people that you just passed.
It's the people you just passed.
Who gave you your coffee? The person who gave you your coffee at Starbucks. It's sad. It's here. It's like you said. It's people are using the word crazy loosely, but that's the word that they use. But there's people who you feel like, wow, you have everything. Why do you feel like this is a serious matter? And it's a whole mindset and mental, especially in the minority community. We have to go and talk to someone. Therapy is needed. Moms, who are dealing with postpartum, it's real. Yes, she's happy. She just had a baby, but check in on her. She may not feel like, I was on a panel for TJ Maxx project I was working on. And one of the panelists was talking about how she gave birth to an amazing child, but she felt like literally killing herself. She battled with so heavy depression. She said she didn't want to hurt her children, but she wanted to hurt herself. And it's like, well, why would you feel like that? And so she went down a spiraling hole into alcoholism and addiction. And while everybody's saying, oh, she's just, ungrateful, and she's just, no, there's some things that are going on. People need to talk and not be judged. They need to be heard. And I think this technology stage has put, even when it comes to suicide and mental wellness, it put it at a deficit because there's no human contact anymore. There's no, hey, how are you? You hear my voice. It's text. It's robotic. And you feel cold and you feel left out and you feel alone, And so I'm glad that we're talking about this. And I know the stats you have are,
they're alarming.
Me about some people.
Yeah. And so, for Great Girlfriends, just so we're clear, we want to give it a name and a face because we want you to know that, you may never actually physically by blood be a sister or brother, right? You may be an only child. You may not be married. So you may not be a wife. You may not have children. You may not have title of mother. But you will definitely have the title of friend, right? And it's a huge title. It's a huge title because it gives you access to people in a way that many people won't have. And so as a friend, there's awareness that you can take on and just attention that you can pay to the people that you're in relationship with that will empower them to think differently about their life or maybe even save their life. And so we want to just raise the consciousness. And I want to start with these stats that you need to understand. So since 1999, the CDC says that suicide rates have increased by 30%, Lucinda. 30%.
Goodness. My goodness. My goodness.
And then, it says nearly 45,000 lives were lost to suicide in 2016 alone. So we're thinking that, it can never get close to your house until, it's the neighbor or it's someone or maybe even you have thoughts of suicidal ideation, thoughts that say, I wish I wasn't here, or nothing matters, or I don't matter, or, feeling that overwhelming thoughts of impossibility. There's no way I can get out of this circumstance, or will I ever meet my mark, or will I ever be significant to anyone? Will I ever be loved? Those are some of the thoughts, the suicidal ideation that people experience. And then we see the warning signs: increased alcohol and drug use, right? Needing a drink versus wanting a drink. I need a drink to cope with whatever life brings, and I need it in high frequency. High frequency. Your friend that always got the cup, or maybe you always got the cup, right? And you're thinking that it's just, you're thinking that it's just having drinks because that's what adults do. But in actuality, you want to look at, what is it that you're trying to cope with, or what is it your friend what is she trying to mentally manipulate through her increased alcohol and drugs? Yeah, or mask, exactly. Aggressive behavior, combative attitudes, anger, withdrawal from friends, family, and community. You can't get them out the house.
Always defensive, sensitive,
defensive.
overly sensitive, and extra emotional at times. And you're like, wow, you're bent out of shape because of, the weather, where you're like the smallest things that don't mean anything to you, they may get bent out of shape with them. Check in on those things with them.
Yeah. They talk about dramatic mood swings and impulsive or reckless behavior. And for us women, impulsive or reckless behavior can be, meeting guys on Tinder and hooking up and having unprotected sex with people that you just met and don't know their last name. That's reckless behavior. It might seem flirty and fun, but it's actually reckless behavior to not consider your overall health and the predicament after you put yourself in certain situations. So, I want us to have an eye for these things and to even check ourselves, because I'll say really quickly, I went through rape in college, right? And after I went through rape in college, I was so overwhelmed with hopelessness, loneliness, rejection, shame, humiliation, fear about my reputation, just everything dark, deep, and low. And I didn't tell anyone. I tried to mask it because I was so ashamed. And I said, who's going to believe this girl from Memphis? And I'm in New Orleans in school, and they're going to say that it was me and I caused this scenario. And I hid it as best as I could. But every night, I'd have resurfacing thoughts of how silly or stupid I must have been to allow this circumstance to happen to me, and how I would never be loved because I was dirty because I went through rape. And and how could I ever have allowed this to happen to me? I must have been a fool, and I must not have been much to begin with if this person didn't think enough of me to treat me properly. Like if this guy thought that I wasn't worthy of proper love and affection, then I must have been nothing to begin with, right? So my self-esteem was in the dumps. And at this point, I started drinking heavily. So that increased alcohol, hand raiser, that was me. I was the drinker day and night. I'm sure my friends thought that I was just having a good time, because in New Orleans, it's all about good times, and that's sort of the style and stage of the city. But the way that I drank was excessively, because it allowed me an escape from the thoughts and the emotions, and it gave me a way of just making it through the day. And I got to the point where I was upset with myself and others. How can no one see the pain I'm in? Like, these people don't even love me. They can't. I'm masking, but then I'm mad because the people that love me can't see that I'm hurt because I'm masking, and so then I feel mad at them, and then I tell myself that no one loves me. Right? Complete contradiction, total chaos. But again, these are the chaotic thoughts that you put yourself through when you have these ideations. And so I got to the point that I don't matter. I must not be significant to anyone. So there I start to plot. Okay, how am I going to do this? I'm taking my life. I wrote my first suicide note. I thanked my mom, my dad, and my sisters and my family for being so loving. But in the note, I remember just saying, I don't see a way out of this. I just don't see a way out. And, got to the point where I was ready to commit suicide and tried to use a razor, and it didn't work. The razor didn't work. And I'm not trying to make light, but I'm trying to let you know how grace and mercy covered me and covered the present Sybil in that past moment, because I didn't know that I was the best kept secret, like you mentioned on our last episode. I didn't know how bomb.com I am. I didn't know that at the time.
Right. Your value.
I didn't understand my value. All of that. I was depleted. But grace and mercy covered me. And even at that point, I felt angry at God, because I said to myself, you won't even let me. You want me to be miserable? Like, you won't even let me take myself out of this misery. And so I felt angry at God. Needless to say, over the course of time and experience, I had complete God encounters that changed my entire life, and that gave me new life and gave me hope, and rid the taste of alcohol from my mouth and the thoughts of suicide. And I mean, I'm in a place that I've been depression free for probably 20 years now. But I will never forget that darkness, because I recognize that so many people are living with the lights off. And so when you live in that darkness and you feel that you don't matter and that life isn't worth anything for you, you look for the next step. You want an exit plan, right? And you can see them at work, and it'd be a regular day, and the next day you hear a story that they didn't wake up because they took their lives. So I want us, great girlfriends, Lucinda, you've heard the stories, and you've had lows, I'm sure.
Yes. Feeling like all the weight was on my shoulders. I never got to the point where I wanted to end my life, but I did feel so depressed and dark. I mean, staring at a wall, trying to figure out what's next. Like, well, I don't matter. Basically living as a dead person walking, as a dead woman walking, not feeling like I even existed or mattered. And just like, why is this happening to me? But what I would say to those who are listening, and even if your child is battling with depression or any suicidal thoughts, or you yourself or someone that know that you are loved. Know that you are loved. Just like I forgot in that movie, she said, you are kind, you are smart, you are beautiful, right? And I said that one to bring some light and laughter into this, but it's seriously, if you got to tell yourself that, just know that what you are going through and what you're feeling, it is going to pass. And the more that you keep shining light and celebrating those moments when it do pass, and celebrating yourself, even when you feel like crap, you can supersede those feelings, and God will help you supersede those feelings. But you have to just start somewhere and just take the first step. Celebrate the fact that you had a good hour, a good day, a good week, a good weekend. Even if people are people and they're going to be finicky, but how do you react to these to the setbacks? And that's what I had to change with myself. Lucinda, how are you going to how are you going to react to these setbacks? Are you going to allow it to keep you in this dark space? Because the hole gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and you have value on this earth, or you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here. So you're a gift. We're all gifts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, I want us to wake up and be attentive as great girlfriends. Be attentive. If you've taken on the role and you've been received in someone's life as a friend, which is so empowering, then you are a safe space. And so there are ways that we, as a community of great girlfriends, can start and have the conversations. I'm going to go through just a few of them. Lucinda, just jump on them as you know. Number one is to create the safe space. And so many times in our friendship, we do the good times, but when things get tough, people get uncomfortable, right? So I'm asking us to make ourselves available to the discomfort and the uncomfortable moments, so that we can break ground with one another.
Judgment free.
So,
judgment free. Sacred space. Judgment free. Don't even have to have the answers. Just let us just voice it, air it out.
That's right.
And sometimes without even trying to figure out a solution, just let it, just a sacred space to air it out and feel loved.
Yes.
Or just in that space.
Absolutely. The second one is the communication around it. You want to pay attention to people's body language, and you want to give healthy, good, open body language, which is really sincere eye contact, shoulders that are open, even in the touch that you offer to someone, a soft, tender touch on the knee, on the shoulder, communicates connection and things like that. And you want to start with language that says, I've noticed, or, slight observations, not like not CSI investigative report observations, but subtleties that are different in the way that you've experienced a person. I've noticed you've been in the house more. I've noticed, you've been a little quiet, or I've noticed, these things that matter, things that you have traditionally experienced have changed a bit. It's safe to say. And, things that are a little offbeat for them, and just ask those questions. And then when you ask questions, make them open-ended questions. Lucinda, I'd love to know more about what you've been experiencing lately. Can you share with me?
Yes.
Lucinda, I'm new to this. I don't really understand all of, maybe it's grief. I don't really understand what it's like to have lost a loved one. Share with me. Many people are getting severance packages. Lucinda, how has that been for you? How has this experience been for you? I know that this recently happened in your life. How has this been for you? Open-ended questions that can get a conversation going are helpful because it allows people to fill in that space. We don't have to fill in the quiet space. Let them talk. Just let them talk. And that active listening. And then another one is, let's always assume that suicide is on the menu. Don't take it off the menu and say, Lucinda's so happy. Life is going so good for Lucinda. She got it all together. She could never get that low. Never assume that we have a full index on everyone's thoughts. We just don't. We don't.
That's true. We don't.
We have to be willing to say, this could be something someone is considering. And in the event that that's a possibility, I want to make myself available to say, can we talk about this? I've experienced this, or, what kind of thoughts have you been having lately?
That's right.
Not when we were in college, lately. Lately. What's going on with you lately? And then just being willing, and just being willing to be there, to listen, to follow up, and to offer someone direction, which is, I'm happy to walk with you. I'm happy to talk with you. I'm happy to look up resources. Is it okay if I check on resources that may be available locally for you? And if it gets too scary for you, being willing to extend a hand or a bridge to someone else who is more empowered to manage whatever the next stage of that conversation. Are you okay, Lucinda, if I share this with another woman that you know, or who may be in the glossy posse, or, do you have a therapist that you've been talking to, or do you have a mentor that you trust? Because if it's not you, don't just drop it and say, okay, girl, you got this. No. Great girlfriends don't do that. We don't do that. We're the ones that we pass the baton to someone who's more empowered if it's not us, and then we just do the check-ins. But we don't want to assume that it's not on the menu, right? Because if that were the case, we wouldn't have lost 45,000 lives in 2016 alone, if that were the case. Yeah.
And no pity parties. Don't give don't give them the pity. Don't let them feel as if you're pitying them. That's an immediate shutdown for them. Where you or the ambush. Well, we need to do an intervention, and they're walking in, and now it's them and auntie and uncle they ain't seen since they were 7, and you got everybody there, their ex-boyfriend, new boyfriend. No ambush moments. No ambush pity parties. And no, and not overlooking how they feel. A lot of times, girl, you got it going on. You got a good marriage. You got great kids. Everybody's healthy. What's the problem? What's the problem now? How can I support you?
So good.
What do you want to do? You know, you're in the mood for going to get something to eat, or you want to go to a comedy show, or you want to do something, because one moment they can be fine and the next moment they can be in the bathroom crying and they don't understand, but never say, oh, you crying for no reason, or just in the moment, just be there. Just be there.
Yeah. That's so good. And even great girlfriends, if it's one of you that's listening right now and you're having these chaotic thoughts and the wires seem to be crossed and you can't seem to figure out the solutions and you can't find the way and you feel like there is no way and it's so overwhelming, I just want you to stop where you are and just breathe for a moment. First off, just take a moment to breathe and to allow some fresh, clean oxygen to flow through your body. And then secondly, I want you to stop and say to yourself, there is hope. Just say that one thing. Say that over and over until it is permeating your body. There is hope. There is hope. And then thirdly, this might be the most complex but necessary step, is make a phone call. I have the number to the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And I want to be clear, you are the strongest when you acknowledge your pain and you pursue a solution, a solvent to your pain. You are not the strongest when you try to press through not knowing how to see your way out. You're the strongest when you take that step in the right direction and allow someone who's a professional and who has answers to help and support you. So I'm asking you, with every little bit of what you have in you, to make this call. If it is you, 1-800-273-8255. You can make that call anonymously, and you can have a conversation with someone who is local to your area. They will find someone in your local area to help support you. And I want you to be willing to understand that asking for help is one of the strongest, bravest, biggest things you could do to help empower yourself to get past the suicidal ideations and the chaotic thoughts and get the solutions that I found and many others have found. And I'm telling you, my life is abundant and I'm so blessed, and I won't stop until my great girlfriends all feel that they can live in that abundant space.
Yes. And you have this. You have this, and you tell the depression, the sadness, and even speaking life, you sometimes just even the silent prayer over your friend, the silent prayer over your friend while you're in the midst, driving in the car, you're just saying, depression, you have no power. Depression, you have no power here. You have no place here. You have no place in her life. So it's just those small things and small changes. And I hope those who are listening, if you feel any type of way, don't overlook it. Don't overlook it. You may be battling with depression. So if there's any type, just call that number. Call the number. No one needs to know. It's not going to be posted in your IG stories. It's not part of your Facebook Live. Call that number. Right. Do it silently and just get some support and help.
That's right. Again, that number is 1-800-273-TALK-8255. 1-800-273-TALK 8255. If you need to make that call, make that call. If you need to pass that number to a friend, pass that number. But let's be the ones who call, take our title as friend, and especially great girlfriend, who take it very seriously. Very seriously. And let's help be the bridge to life for someone today.
We could not end this podcast without thanking our amazing husbands.
Yes, thank you, Kwaku.
And thank you so much, Rich Daniel.
And our beautiful children, thank you, Sam and Dylan.
And thank you, Miss Sky Daniel.
And thank you to all of you great girlfriends for trusting us as your go-to source for everything life, love, and laughter.
You can check us out on our social, on Instagram,
The Great Girlfriends,
on Twitter,
_Great GFS,
and on Facebook,
The Great Girlfriends.
And please make sure that you join our Facebook group, which is over 16,000 women strong.
Absolutely. And make sure you listen every single Wednesday on iTunes, Spotify, Podcast Bean, Podcast Republic, Google Play, and every other podcasting service.
Absolutely.
Be sure to post your questions, share with your friends, keep listening, and keep being a great girlfriend. I'm Sybil.
And I'm Brandon.
And we're signing off.
Peace.
Peace.